Good morning. My name is Aaron, and I'm the Senior Executive Officer of the Otipemisiwak Métis Government, and I'll be your MC for today's ceremony. We will begin our ceremony with our March of Colors. Thank you very much. Our color guard this morning is represented by the Aboriginal Veterans Society and members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. As is customary within the Métis Nation, we'd like to start today's ceremony in a good way. I'd like to call upon Miss Norma Spicer, our Métis knowledge holder, to give us an opening prayer.
Thank you. Please join me. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, hear a prayer of gratitude from your Métis people. We gather today to commemorate Riel, a man who dedicated his life to serving others. Our Métis ancestors turned to him for his leadership, his knowledge, and his advocacy to give a clear and credible voice to express their needs and wants as they dealt with a government that put progress and greed above justice and equality. He gave them unity, courage, faith, and pride in the heritage they cherished, that what they fought for was their inherent right and duty to protect their land, their homes, their culture and language. He spoke to you, dear Lord, of the struggles and fears of his people. He placed his trust in you and always believed in your love. He encouraged others to be strong, to persevere, to resist, for the struggles and fight for justice were not in vain, but for their families, their children, and the generations to come. So much can be told of the hardships in the years that followed, but our people never lost hope. It is a very special time for Métis people here in Alberta, and we have so much to be thankful for. Riel's leadership and our ancestors' hopes and dreams have fostered and inspires our people to continue in their footsteps, to build a future that is good, compassionate, and generous. Dear Lord, we ask for your blessings as we lift up our progress to you with love and gratitude for Riel's leadership, his devotion to you, his courage and sacrifices that we honor and respect and commemorate on the anniversary of his death. Strengthen our commitment so that by our efforts and your supervening grace, our Métis people may know a future blessed with equity and peace. We place our trust in you now and forever. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
I'm going to ask that people please remain standing and turn your attention to the screens as we play the Métis National Anthem.
In the forest, on the river, and across the western plain, as a white man journeyed westward to the land of the Indian, a new race was created, a new nation rose up strong. Hardship as its destiny, and its curse to not belong. In the land from which they came, in the land they helped to build, they found themselves the alien, found their vision unfulfilled. And despite their valiant effort to defend what they believed, when at last the battle ended, they were only left to grieve. We are proud to be Métis, watch our nation rise again. Never more forgotten people, we're the true Canadian. From across the plain they traveled, from Red River to the Peace, looking for their own homeland that would help them to replace all the land that had been taken and the dreams that had been dashed. Their brave heroes now called traitors, and courageous deeds now past. But their spirit was not broken, and their dreams had never died. Their determination strengthened even while the people cried, as they waited for the battle that would end their years of pain, and the final bloodless battle when the nation rose again. We are proud to be Métis, watch our nation rise again. Never more forgotten people, we're the true Canadian. For this newest generation and the future ones to come, with the past to motivate us, it will help to keep us strong. As we build the Métis nation, as we watch it rise again, our past losses motivation to inspire our future gain. We are proud to be Métis, watch our nation rise again. Never more forgotten people, we're the true Canadian. We are proud to be Métis, watch our nation rise again. Never more forgotten people, we're the true Canadian.
Welcome to our annual Louis Riel Commemorative Ceremony. Thank you all for coming out this morning And thank you to Chuck Isaac, President of the Aboriginal Veterans Society, and fiddler Brianna Lizotte for leading our color guard today. November 16th is the day we recognize the legacy of our Métis leader, Louis Riel. On this day in 1885, Louis Riel was executed for treason against the Canadian government for leading the Métis into battle and defending Métis rights. Each year, on November 16th, Métis people across Canada pay tribute to the Right Honourable Louis Riel by holding a commemorative ceremony on the date of his execution. And many of us would say murder. These ceremonies symbolize the commitment Métis people share in striving for and promoting the visions and dreams of Louis Riel. We gather in the spirit of Riel to celebrate a week of events surrounding November 16th. Métis people across the homeland come together to share our rich and vibrant culture, traditions, music, dance, and to showcase our talent and, of course, culinary skills. The events are dedicated to Riel's memory, his legacy, and to remind ourselves of the sacrifice he made to ensure the continued existence of a Métis nation. The events allow us to tell our story, our history, and our contributions that we've made to Canada and Alberta. After 138 years, we continue to get closer and closer to the recognition that Métis people deserve in this country. Today, I'm happy to stand before you as a representative of the Otipemisiwak Métis government. Last year at this ceremony, we were the Métis Nation of Alberta. I can remember times, years, days, months of negotiations with the government of Alberta, and we couldn't even agree on the name. We couldn't agree that we were a nation. There were times when we were nothing more than an association. And as I said, we're inching closer and closer. We've signed 2 self-government agreements. We have the promise of Bill C-53 in front of committee in the federal parliament. And we are hopeful that Canada will rectify historic wrongs by recognizing the Métis Nation and continue to work with us, government to government, nation to nation, towards a brighter future for not just Métis citizens, but all of us. And I'd like to thank you all for coming today. Being inside the legislature is very important. I was telling stories to some of my colleagues and friends before. It wasn't that long ago we had to organize on the front steps. And there was security, and there were signs as far as the eye could see as you were coming in that made it very clear this wasn't a commemorative ceremony, this was a protest. And so I acknowledge and I thank today's provincial government and coming with us to have this very important ceremony. And I'd now like to ask the Deputy Chair of Committees, Mr. Glenn Van Dyken, to please come forward.
Good. Thank you, Aaron, for that introduction. Tonche, good morning and welcome to the Legislative Assembly of Alberta. I would like to recognize Her Honor, the Lieutenant Governor, Selma Lakhani, among us. I'd like to also recognize all of the Métis veterans, elders, knowledge keepers that that we have the grace of being able to be at the ceremony with you. My name is Glenn Van Dyken, and I'm Deputy Chair of Committees here at the Legislature and the MLA for Athabasca Barhead Westlock. I proudly point out and claim and direct people to Métis Crossing, which is in part of my constituency in Smoky Lake County, and very proud of the cultural learnings that we can share with people from right across the country, from actually around the globe, that are coming to Métis Crossing to learn more of the history of this land and the Métis Nation in Alberta. Louis Riel is counted among the great leaders in Canadian history. His legend extends far beyond the Red River settlement, and he will forever capture the hearts and minds of Métis people across Canada. He is remembered for giving Métis people a powerful voice when their land, identity, livelihood, culture, and language were threatened. During his short lifetime, he unified and inspired a generation of Métis people to stand up and speak out when their rights were being infringed upon. Sadly, the Red River resistance marked the beginning of a struggle for equality and cultural preservation that would come to last many generations. Louis Riel may have begun work to preserve the distinct Métis identity and to bring attention to inequality and injustice, but it is the generations since who have ensured that his work continued. Louis Riel is a symbol of perseverance, and his spirit lives on in every Métis person born on Canadian soil since his death. I'd just like to reflect a little bit on, I have a son-in-law that his great-great-grandfather left the Manitoba region as a voyageur with his young Indigenous bride and landed up in the Inuvik territory and helped to establish a life there. And it is astonishing to me to watch my young son-in-law, well, not so young, but my son-in-law continue to have that identity within himself and being drawn to his traditional area where his great-great-grandfather set down roots. Every Métis person who proudly wears the arrowhead sash in celebration of their culture and heritage preserves their identity and Riel's legacy, as do those who express the Métis culture through art, music, language, and dance. The Métis have fought to keep their culture alive and vibrant despite the challenges and hardships they have endured over the past 150 years. Since 1928, the Métis Nation of Alberta has served as the voice of the 120,000 Métis people in Alberta. Last year, it led the ratification of a constitution for the Métis Nation within Alberta. Thank you all for joining us to remember Louis Riel and to celebrate the vibrant Métis community that he died to protect, a community that has helped shape our province's culture and heritage. And with that, I am pleased to, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, the Honourable Selma Lakhani, to the lectern to provide official remarks.
I acknowledge all First Peoples who have called this place home for thousands of years and who welcomed us here to make our own lives. May we always dwell together on these lands with respect, understanding, and a sincere commitment to walking the journey of reconciliation and reconciliation. Well, Tonsi Kia Mata, good morning, everyone. To all our elected officials, all of our Métis leaders, knowledge keepers. Norma Spicer, thank you for starting us off in such a great way, and it's so good to see you. I've known Norma for many, many years, and it's always wonderful to see you. And to all our dignitaries, welcome this morning to this, our Alberta Legislature building, the home of democracy. It's so wonderful to welcome all of you here today. Now, in your programs, it says, in honoring Louis Riel, we recognize and respect the culture, language, heritage, and history of the Métis Nation. And I would like to put to you that we should recognize the culture, language, heritage, and history of the Métis Nation every single day of the year, not just today. For many years, November 16th has been a day of significance in the history of the land that we share. 138 years after his death, the principles and rights that Louis Riel fought and died for are more important than ever before. Our province and country is inextricably linked and deeply enriched by the powerful history and vibrant culture of all our Métis communities. I encourage all Albertans to explore and learn more about this important part of our provincial history. There is still much for all of us to learn and to understand as we travel a shared path towards reconciliation. We must remember that there are many Métis community members among us who are still living with deep wounds and intergenerational trauma created by the past. Through compassion, learning, and shared understanding, we can continue to work together to foster healing and to build a bright future for all Métis people now and for generations to come. As His Majesty, the King's representative in Alberta, I offer my heartfelt thanks to Métis leaders and knowledge holders and community members who are leading the way forward with wisdom, courage, and innovation. I would also like to offer my deep gratitude to those who have welcomed me, offered their friendship, and generously shared their wisdom and experiences as I continue my own journey of learning. May the months and years ahead bring hope and renewal for all, and may the Right Honorable Louis Riel rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those kind words and the focus on the past and the future. It means a lot to the Métis people of this province. Up next, we have one of our youth that's going to read the bio of Louis Riel. Before we do that, I would like to again thank our knowledge holder, Norma, for the prayer, acknowledge our veterans, those that served, our dignitaries, and of course, our newly elected officials from our Otipemisiwak Métis government that are here with us today. And if we could just give those folks a round of applause, please. If you want to stand. Thank you. We've had a lot of historic firsts since we last gathered on November 16th. Many of you are aware we just had an election that was the largest Indigenous government election in the history of this country. Of course, many of you know we had a province-wide referendum, which was also the largest Indigenous vote in the history of this country. And our people passed a Métis Nation of Alberta, Otipemisiwak Métis government, constitution with an approval rating of 96.9%. And I share that because the youth that we have coming up is a reflection of the future. Today is borrowed from the young people. And I would like to ask Isabella Barner to come up and read the bio of Louis Riel.
Louis David Riel was the firstborn of 11 children to Julie and Louis Riel Sr. on October 22, 1844. He and his family resided in St. Boniface with the Red River area of Richland. In 1858, 14-year-old Riel began his studies for priesthood in Montreal. He returned to St. Boniface in 1868 to find himself the leader of his community, as Métis residents in the area began to lose their homes and their livelihoods to the Hudson's Bay Company and the growing domination of Canada. In 1869, Canada ordered a land survey, and Riel took the opportunity to stand against the incoming invasion of Métis land. With the possession of Upper Fort Garry, Métis followed Riel to the Red River Resistance of 1869 and 1870. At only 25, Riel had formed a provisional government to present Canada with the Bill of Rights, later solidified as the Manitoba Act of 1870. Despite his work and ongoing negotiations between the provisional government and Canada, Riel's work came to a halt after the death of Thomas Scott. Scott had been found guilty of murdering Norbert Pearson, a Métis man, and making threats against Riel's life. In 1875, Riel faced an exile from Canada. Despite his exile, Riel was elected to the House of Commons 3 times. In spite of his denial on the seat of the Parliament, Riel traveled in secrecy to Ottawa to sign the members' registry. A decade passed, and Riel married, had children, and taught the Jesuits' mission on Montana. Even with the passage of time, Métis still faced an exclusion and negligence from Canadian government. In 1884, he was asked to assist the Métis of Saskatchewan Valley, similarly to his work in the Red River. Métis knew that with the Riel's dedication and their collective resilience, their efforts would prevail. The federal government ignored the needs of the concerns of the Métis and met them with soldiers rather than negotiators. Riel had organized and led the resistance against Canada's intrusion into Métis lands. Still, he never carried a weapon, nor did he stand in the way of his military leader, Gabriel Dumont. In May 1885, Riel surrendered to Canada, and the Northwest Rebellion would found its end in Batoche. Riel was hanged on November 16, 1885. Riel's unjust execution lit a flame within the Métis, a call to action to continue his fight toward Métis self-determination. Louis Riel set the stage for Métis people to reclaim their identity, no longer forgotten people, but an integral part of Canada's identity and a true symbol of resilience. His strength, ambition, dedication reflect into our people today as we strive toward self-determination, reconciliation, and the growth of our Otipemisiwak Métis government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isabella. Up next, on behalf of the Premier of Alberta, Mr. Scott Sinclair, Parliamentary Secretary for Indigenous Policing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Scott Sinclair to the stage for a few words.
Thank you, everybody. Before I get into my big boring speech here, just wanted to maybe another round of applause for the young girl there. Performed pretty amazing for a young kid. Good morning. My name is Scott Sinclair. I'm the MLA for Lesser Slave Lake and Parliamentary Secretary for Indigenous Policing. I'd like to start by acknowledging the Métis people's deep connection with this land and all the veterans and leaders and dignitaries that showed up for this very important day. It's an honor to bring greetings on behalf of both the Premier of Alberta and Minister Rick Wilson and my colleagues with the Government of Alberta. Thank you also to President Sandmeyer, and congratulations, and thank you again for the invitation to join you all today. Today we honor the great Métis leader, Louis Riel, an unmatched defender of Métis people's rights and culture. Riel was an extraordinary and complex figure, and his journey of passion, conviction, and resistance has been woven into the fabric of our country. In pursuit of his people's dreams, he left a lasting legacy for all of us as we strive to build a better future for ourselves and our children. He fought and died to ensure that the Métis people would have the same dignity and freedoms as other Canadians. Métis and all Indigenous people stand on the shoulders of giants. I feel it's important for all of us to remember, but more importantly, for all of us to tell our children and our youth that we are not just survivors. We are the tip of the spear, a strong, resilient people, and there's nothing we can't do together. For all this and more, Riel and all the other leaders are a source of strength and inspiration for us today. While we pay tribute to the Honourable Louis Riel today, we also celebrate the Métis people of Alberta. Today, Métis people continue to contribute to the cultural, social, and economic fabric of our province. We're proud to work with the Métis Nation of Alberta as a government and share strong and productive relationships since the 1930s. We remain deeply proud that Alberta is the only province in Canada to have a Métis land base recognized under provincial legislation, the 8 Métis settlements. The Alberta government has supported the work of Métis people on several major projects, including the construction of a 40-room guest lodge at Métis Crossing, the construction of an elders' residence in Fort Chipewyan, and the expansion of the Silver Birch Resort on Kikino Métis settlement. We're honored to work together with you to ensure you have every opportunity to enjoy all aspects of Alberta's social and economic prosperity. The future for Métis people, not just in Alberta but across Canada, promises to be a bright one. Lastly, I'm going to go off script a little bit here, but I just wanted to briefly mention how grateful and proud I am to honor my mushroom and grandfather, Sam Sinclair, who was a president of the Métis Association for 10 years. Thank you. He was an important person, not just to my family, but I think he advocated for all people, anybody he met. And my name on the placard in the chamber says Scott Sinclair on it, but my full name is actually Scott Gordon Riel Sinclair. And I've always been greatly appreciative for that gift my parents gave me and honored for it. I remember being a little kid, about 10 or 11, watching Braveheart, and my dad telling me, Louis Riel is like a Métis Braveheart, a Métis William Wallace. And I thought that was pretty fantastic. An 11-year-old kid, I remember looking at his picture then and thinking I could never be like him with all the accomplishments. And then yesterday I was reading up on him and looking at his picture, and I was going to say my age, but I'll just say late 30s. But now I'm in my late 30s. I know for sure, after looking at his picture, I'll never be like him because I could never grow a mustache like that. But lastly, I just wanted to say thank you. As we move forward, let's honor Riel's vision and work together to create a more just society that respects the rights and hopes of all people in Alberta and Canada. Thank you very much. Sorry, scattered paper. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition, Member Brooks Arcan Paul, can you please bring some remarks? Thank you.
Tanseka gewak nitziga son sipsis kipotaga ochenia kamasatik nigotuasik. It is a profound privilege to be with you all today. We are gathered together to honor the enduring spirit and significant contributions of Métis people here in Alberta and across the country. Us being here today not only commemorates the past, but it also gives us an opportunity to reflect on the rich history of the Métis people and celebrate all that is yet to come. Our ancestors have paved a path of courage and resilience, giving our entire community a proud example of what it means to be committed to the rights and dignity of all people. I'm so honored that I get to call my family, the Calders, the Burkes, and the Huppies, part of our relations, and we recognize that we are all related. Louis Riel was one of those visionary leaders. His legacy is defined by his bravery and his fight to recognize the Métis people of this land. He has been and will continue to be a beacon of inspiration. His life also serves as a reminder of how important it is to protect and preserve one's identity and the voice of our communities. Despite once being labeled as traitors, the Métis people, our family, have contributed so much value to our social, cultural, and political history. Louis Riel and the Métis people have encouraged us by example and lived experience to renew our commitment to hope and progress as Canadians, to continue to work toward meaningful reconciliation with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. The recent swearing in of the first Otipemisiwak Métis government marks a significant milestone in our journey towards self-governance. This historic achievement is a testament of the Métis community's dedication to shaping a future where their rights are recognized, your voices heard, and our unique identity celebrated. I am heartened by this progress and inspired by what is yet to come. Together we can and we will rebuild relations that future relations can be proud of. Nanaskamun Iksemaga.
Thanks a lot. Good job. Up next, on behalf of the City of Edmonton, Ward Dene Councillor, Mr. Aaron Paquette.
Well, thank you. Well, good morning and welcome. Bonjour, Tansé. I am the City Councillor for Ward Dene in Northeast Edmonton and the first Cree and Métis person elected to Edmonton City Council. Which is why it is my honor to be here today on behalf of Mayor Amarjeet Sohi and Edmonton City Council in celebration and recognition of Louis Riel Day, a day devoted to commemorating the Métis people's journey towards self-determination and self-government, as well as a celebration of our rich and vibrant history and culture. Métis people have played a significant role in the establishment of Edmonton as a community. This is our home together. Through the development of trading, commerce, river lot settlement, as well as through civic life, military service, and leadership. And speaking of our amazing and honored guests, I would also like to take a moment to welcome all people who have come today. You honor us with your presence, and to the youth who are here today who hold the promise of our future and for whose future we bear the responsibility. So thank you to all of you for being here today. Now, this October, Métis members in Alberta swore in the first Otipemisiwak Métis government, following the largest leadership vote in MNA history, as we have heard. And this would be something that I think Louis Riel would be very happy to see. Now, this day also marks the anniversary of the execution of Louis Riel. In that year of 1885, Riel led Métis people in the Northwest Resistance, a stand against a government that was infringing upon the rights of an entire people. And Riel had drafted a Métis Bill of Rights, and far from a revolutionary bill, it simply asserted the Métis right to possess their lands, which they wanted to have administered from an office in the Northwest. Now, several battles ensued, as you know. Some were fought with words, and others with bullets. The Canadian government had a singular mission: to crush Riel and the uprising. Duck Lake and Batoche were battlegrounds. Blood was shed and lives were lost. On May 15, 1885, Riel walked up to a soldier, introduced himself, and surrendered to the government. The jury found Riel guilty of treason and recommended clemency. The judge sentenced Riel to hang. On the day of his execution, Riel met his fate with dignity. He made no final speech. He simply prayed and gave his soul, heart, and body to the people he loved and served. This moment is remembered in a simple quote offered by Prime Minister Sir John A. Macdonald, who said, "He shall hang though every dog in Quebec bark in his favor." But in hanging Riel, the government ensured his life and message for Métis rights would live. The government did not execute a traitor. It created a martyr, a symbol, and a hero for a movement that lives to this day. So while today marks a tragedy in Canadian history, it also serves as a celebration of the strength and resiliency of the Métis Nation and all its peoples. Here in Alberta, we're fortunate to have the largest number of Métis people in the country, and we're the only province with a recognized Métis land base entrenched in provincial statute. And the city of Edmonton proudly flies the Métis flag year-round as a symbol of our commitment to strengthening relationships with this distinct nation. And while significant advances in recognition and rights have been gained by Métis people over the years, there is still work to be done. And our work will be with words. Riel said, "My people will sleep for 100 years, but when they awaken, it will be the artists who give them their spirit back." I reflected on those words for many years as a young man. And what I have discovered is that an artist is a creator. And because all of us have been created, all of us have that seed of creation within us. And so with the power of our words, we can create a world that is far better. We can create a land that is more green and more beautiful. We can create a future that is more fertile for our children and theirs and theirs and theirs. But we must do it together. We must tell our story. And we must remember that much like the Métis sash, all of our stories, all of our lives, all of our governments are woven together. And when we do not make that strong, it will fall apart. Our words will create a world of beauty for our youth if we choose it. If people named Riel fight as hard and as passionately for his people, maybe not with the same outcome, but with a better one. But I thank all of you here today for sharing your energy, your lives, your passion, and may we move forward together in solidarity and strength. Hi, hi. Thank you. Merci.
Great job, brother. Wicked. Thank you very much. Up next, the Canadian Francophone Association of Alberta, Ms. Natalie Lachance.
Chers dignitaires, dear dignitaries, President Sandmeyer and members of your Otipemisic Métis government, elders and members of the Métis community, membres de la communauté métisse et membres de la communauté francophone, distinguished invités, distinguished guests, bonjour, good morning, Tansei. I'm the newly elected president of the Francophone Association, and it is really a great honor to be here today and to join you. But I must say that I'm here in my official role, and it's wonderful, but this community has been near and dear to my heart for the last 27 years. I joined the Métis National Council in 1996. I was the director of the Métis Center, the National Aboriginal Organization, from 2001 to 2003. But more importantly, my husband, Lyle Donnell, and I have been together since 1996. We have together a son. I have 3 adult stepchildren, 9 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. The Métis culture is alive in our family. We are proud 5-generation Métis dancers. And yes, I have 2 left feet. I'm not dancing. I'm usually the person who holds the babies in the background as we perform on stage and get them to embrace the culture and be ready to be their next generation of dancers. So it is really, truly an honor to be here. It's a privilege to join you. I'm thrilled to have seen the result of the election and the creation of the Otipemisic Métis government. Also thrilled to see that the Métis Constitution recognizes French as one of the official languages of the Métis. I can't help but think in my heart, in my soul, that there are so many things in common between us. We share the same hero. Riel was a hero for Francophone, as he is a hero for Métis. And we share so much by sharing and admiring the leadership that he provided and what he did in defending and promoting Métis rights, but what he also did to ensure that we still speak French in Western Canada, and that we still speak, and we can be here in Alberta speaking French every day. We can have Francophone schools. So it is kudos to the work that is done by the Métis, by the Francophone community, and all in honor of a remarkable man who did remarkable things. So I really want to thank you all for being here today. It really is an honor. Et au nom de la communauté francophone, je suis vraiment de tout cœur avec vous. So on behalf of the Francophone community, I'm here, heart, soul, and spirit. Thank you.
All right. We have an amazing presentation now with our youth from Prince Charles School, the Prince Charles Fiddlers. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to make their way up to the front. Please give them a big round of applause. Did you want to introduce anything? Absolutely amazing. If that doesn't give you a bit of energy, I don't know what does. So thank you very much to the Prince Charles School Fiddlers for that performance. Ladies and gentlemen, one more big round of applause. You guys did awesome, and do everybody a favor in this room and never put that fiddle down. All right. I would now like to ask Andrea Sandmeyer, the newly elected president of the Otipemisiwak Métis government, to please come up and share some remarks.
Good morning, Tanse, veterans, seniors, elected officials, and citizens. Thank you so much, knowledge holder Norma Spicer, for opening this very special ceremony with your beautiful prayer. Today we gather to commemorate the life and legacy of a man whose unwavering commitment to justice and the rights of the Métis people continues to inspire us. Louis Riel. It is a day of solemn reflection as we mark the death of Louis Riel's execution, the date of Louis Riel's execution, a day etched in the archives of our history. Louis Riel's sacrifice for the Métis and his relentless struggle was rooted in a deep love for his people. His vision, his passion, and his dedication to our rights and culture still resonate with us today, nearly 140 years later. Recently, the government of Manitoba took a monumental step by introducing legislation to formally recognize Louis Riel as the first Premier of Manitoba. A long time for us to wait for that. This recognition is not just a matter of history, but a significant acknowledgement of the leadership that has defined our community. Louis Riel's story is one of resilience, determination, and unwavering commitment to the pursuit of justice. He fought against injustice and worked tirelessly to protect the rights and culture of the Métis. He exemplified the spirit of the Métis people, a spirit that has carried us through generations of adversity and continues to drive us forward today. Our Métis ancestors for generations fought for the recognition of our rights. They petitioned the Crown, took collective action, and defended our identity and way of life, even taking up arms when necessary. Promises made by the Crown were broken. Our rights were often ignored, but our collective will and resilience ensured we persevered. Now, as we gather here at this important place, one where Métis have not historically been welcome, we find ourselves at a crucial juncture. We are on the brink of making history. Bill C-53, our Métis self-government legislation, is before federal parliament. Its significance cannot be overstated. This legislation represents a formal and legal recognition of Métis self-government and self-determination by the Canadian government on behalf of the Crown. It is about how we elect our leaders, determine our citizenship, govern ourselves, and protect our Métis children. The passage of Bill C-53 would be a historic milestone for the Métis people. It is a recognition that we have been pursuing for over 2 centuries, one that Louis Riel died for, and it is a reflection of the hard-fought battles and the resilience of this community. The Government of Canada has already passed nearly 30 pieces of similar legislation for other Indigenous peoples, but this would be the first for the Métis. In the spirit of Louis Riel, we continue to fight for the rights of our people and for reconciliation. Bill C-53 is not just a piece of legislation. It is reconciliation in action. As we commemorate Louis Riel today, we are reminded of our shared history and the responsibility we hold to learn from the past, rectify historical wrongs, and work together towards a brighter future. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much, President Sandmeyer. And I know you've been in the role of president not quite that long yet, but I've had the honor and opportunity to work beside you and see the work you've been doing so far, and it's very impressive. I'm glad you brought up C-53 today. It's a very important piece of legislation, and if you don't know about C-53, just Google it, it'll come up. It is the pathway for us to get to a modern-day treaty with the Crown, and it's a very important piece of legislation, not just to Métis people, but to everybody. And so I thank you very much, President Sandmeyer, for leading the charge on that file for all of us. To close our ceremony today, I would like to ask our veteran, Mr. John MacDonald, to come and share with us the prayer of the Provisional Council. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our veteran, John MacDonald, to the podium.
Prayer of the Council, 1885. Lord our God, Thou art the Father of mercy and consolation. We are several French-Canadian Métis gathered together in council, who put our confidence in Thee. Grant that we may not be covered with confusion. Ever defend us from this. Enlighten us in our darkness of doubt. Encourage us in our trials. Strengthen us in our weakness and succor us in the time of pressing need. Amen. Louis Riel.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, John, for that. That concludes our formal agenda for this morning. It's November 16th. There's a lot of stuff going on. The next thing, we're having a grand opening. You're all invited, of our youth building, our brand new youth building. It's located at, write this down, text it to your friends, 1128 123rd Street. You'll have to figure out parking. It's all around there. There's not a big parking lot. You'll have to park on the street. There'll be food. Please do come and join us. And for those of you that have tickets to our sold-out event tonight, it's not sold out because it's free to attend, I guess, but it's at capacity, our Riel Delia Gray Gala tonight, so I'll see some of you there. And just in closing, thank you so much to the Premier, the Speaker's office, the Chair of Committees, our Lieutenant Governor, other dignitaries for being with us. Us being here and feeling welcome means a lot. Thank you so much. And a big shout out to everybody that had a hand in organizing today's event and other events throughout Métis Week. And a big thank you to the Otipemisiwak Métis government bureaucracy. You guys are amazing. You're an amazing team. We pull these things off. It's nobody's job at the OMG government to do these events. We pull together. We know the meaning. We're motivated. If we're not motivated after hearing these speeches and this legacy, you know, there might be an issue. But anyways, thank you all very much. Enjoy your morning, and thank you all for coming.